All right, going to talk about Texas quarterback Arch Manning and recap his performance against San Jose State yesterday or this previous weekend, depending when you were watching this video. We're going to talk about some positive takeaways because I think there's a lot of negativity. You got some extremes out there, actually. You got some people saying this is a huge bounce-back game. Then you got people saying this offense wouldn't even make a bowl game. So we're going to talk about some positive takeaways. We're going to talk about some takeaways from the actual game that as it relates to playing on the field. Then we're going to talk about the game itself and go through the flows of the game as it relates to Arch Manning. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Arch Manning, 19 of 30, 294 yards passing, 4 touchdowns in the air, 1 interception, 23 yards on the ground. That is including sacks, and then had a rushing touchdown as well. QBR 74.4. According to ESPN, that's up by 16 points compared to Ohio State last week. So I have some positive takeaways here that I want to get into first. Then we're going to talk about 3 main takeaways of the actual gameplay, and then we'll talk about the game itself. So let's look at some positive takeaways because, again, there is so much negativity out there. There are people saying it's a huge bounce-back game. It's San Jose State, so let's not get too excited. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of positivity that should be around the game because I think it includes his development. It involves his development. People are out there saying, this isn't even a bowl offense. It's a bad offense. Well, they still scored 38 points, and they didn't even score anything in the fourth quarter. Like, they noticeably chilled in the fourth quarter here, right? Like, this could have been Texas fans, you don't have to be happy about the performance, but you look at, like, Clemson almost lost to Troy. Florida lost to South Florida. LSU did not look good against Louisiana Tech. So there were some games out there yesterday of bigger schools not looking very good against these G6 or G5, whatever they're calling opponents, right? But I get it. It wasn't perfect at all. Offensively, you want to see more. I totally get it. You don't want to see a team struggle against a team like San Jose State, but it's not just Arch offensively. It's a whole team. But at the same time, they won 38-7 after a slow start. But Arch had 5 total TDs, right? It was arguably his best game of his career as a starting quarterback. You can maybe argue Mississippi State last year was better, but he had 5 total TDs against San Jose State. So I don't care who that's against. It's still much better than last week. And again, it may have been his best start as a college quarterback here. Key positive takeaway number 2 is just about development. The more and more reps you get, the more developed you get as a quarterback, even with a quarterback as highly touted as Arch Manning here. So more and more reps is a good thing. He's got more of these type of games coming up, right, with UTEP and San Jose State, or not San Jose State, Sam Houston State, right? I don't know who is next, but you got those 2 opponents coming up next. So you have time to develop. Another positive takeaway I saw yesterday from Arch was developing a comfort level of his go-to pass catchers, mainly Livingston so far, and the tight end. Is it injuries? Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. We do a lot of SEC quarterback breakdowns, and so we don't have all the names of receivers and tight ends. So let me know your thoughts, or let me know if that is the right pronunciation. But Livingston had 128 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. The tight end had 2 touchdowns and 52 yards receiving. So he's developing a comfort level with his go-to receiver. And I think you're starting to see that a little bit more, at least yesterday. And I get it. It's San Jose State. You're not going to really know until you start playing the SEC opponents, right? But this is what we have to go off right now, right? San Jose State. The pick was bad. That shouldn't have been thrown. I think Texas fans have a better taste in their mouth. That pick wasn't thrown, even if they just get a field goal before half. So you take away that pick. Again, I think Texas fans probably are feeling a little bit better here, but it was still 28-7 at halftime, right? So the positives are you still had 5 touchdowns, 4 passing, and 1 on the ground. It was a game to develop. You got more development games coming up. I think that's how you have to look at these games. I don't think you don't have to be happy if you struggle, but look at the games as a developmental game. He's developing a comfort level with his go-to guys, which hopefully you see more of. Hopefully you see more guys get involved these next few weeks. And the pick was bad, but now he's got more stuff to learn and go from. So let's talk about the takeaways on the actual field, like how he actually played, what type of throws did he do well, how did he look on the field. Well, the biggest takeaway is still that big playability. Again, it's San Jose State, but he had 3 completions where the ball was thrown 20 yards or more against Ohio State, and he played a bad game against Ohio State, and he still had that deep ball ability. Against San Jose State, he had 4 of those completions where the ball was thrown 20 yards or more downfield, and there was a drop, so he should have had 5. His adjusted completion percentage on those type of throws was over 60%, which is outstanding. That puts in the top tier of quarterbacks, right? So The big playability, he is demonstrating that. That was something Texas fans wanted to see from Quinn the past few years. In 2 games, he already has 7 of those type of completions. Quinn had 12 last year throughout the entire regular season before the playoffs got there. So you have that big playability. You always have that big playability. I think it's a positive takeaway. Key number 2 that I took away from the field, his accuracy is looking better than it did Ohio State. I thought he was making throws that he was supposed to make. Sure, he missed on some, but his adjusted completion percentage was 78%. There were 3 drops. So I think he played even better than the stat line or box line show, especially if you watch the game, then I think you'd probably agree with that. So I think his accuracy looked better than it did against Ohio State. I think he made throws he was supposed to make, which is what you ask of a quarterback playing a lower level competition. And then the last takeaway is he's still developing. I think Texas fans, everyone has to remember he's still developing. Is he going to hit that ceiling everyone has on him? Who the hell knows? I don't know. Is he going to be as good? Is he going to be as bad as people are saying? He's a bust. Who knows, right? I think everyone's kind of just guessing and talking, including me. I'm just some guy on YouTube with a microphone talking. But I do know he's still developing, and so the jury remains to be out. I think you got to allow a lot bigger runway, a lot longer runway than just a few games, right? So he is still developing. We will see how he develops. Let's talk about the game overall. Let's talk about the ebbs and flows of the game and kind of what he did well and then maybe where they stalled a little bit. So starting off, it was a slow start, right? They scored at the end of the first quarter. Maybe is that when they scored? Regardless, the first few drives are kind of wonky, kind of slow. Like you look up, first drive, it was 3rd and 14 with 51 seconds left, or 51 seconds into the game. Or it was 4th and 14, 51 seconds left in the game, and they're already punting. So Texas fans are already like, oh, damn, slow start to the game until that long touchdown to Livingston. I think that was a 3rd down throw, if I'm not mistaken. So until that long TD to Livingston, it was like a snowball effect after for a few minutes. I think they had 4 touchdowns within a 5-minute stretch. I think that's what the broadcast said yesterday. So what that tells me is he was very streaky. It's almost like a 3-point shooter in basketball getting real hot. They feel it and they keep going and going and going and going. Then eventually they kind of stall up. It was very, very streaky. It does help when San Jose gives you the ball back. They had that interception and some fumbles, right? Like several times in a row. It definitely does help. But Arch in that 4 touchdown kind of time frame was 8 of 8 for 172 yards during that period. So you started slow, then you went fast. It was like 28-7, and then you have the interception right before halftime. Now that was a bad half. I mean, not a bad half. That was a bad interception. Like we already talked about that. I totally get it. If they didn't have that pick, you probably are feeling better about that. But you still had that interception, right? Not a great pick. Pressure in your face, kind of just threw it up in the double coverage. Even if the pressure wasn't there, the ball still probably shouldn't have been thrown in that area. So you have the interception before half. Come out in the second quarter, 28-7. It was never much of a ball game after you got 28, right? I think when you got 21 is when they scored their first touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. But it was never much of a ball game once it was 28-7. Second half was still slow, but you didn't need to show really anything. You got 10 points in the third quarter. Arch had another touchdown in the third quarter, and now you're up 38-7 entering the fourth quarter. Nothing really going on in the fourth quarter. Arch was able to sit and watch the rest of the game. They were able to get Matthew Caldwell to transfer from Troy into the game there. So that was kind of the ebbs and flows of the game. I thought it was better than maybe what some of the maybe than what's being like talked about online. I thought the game was better. You could have scored 50 if you wanted to. You probably could have put your foot on the pedal in the fourth quarter, but there was no need. You're up 38-7, right? So slow start, then really streaky in the second quarter. That's when you pulled away 4 touchdowns in 5 minutes. Arch was 8 of 8 for $172 in that time. Then the third quarter, you just kind of put the additional points that you needed, 10 points in the third. Then you were able to chill there. So overall takeaways from Arch is he's still developing. And I thought that he took a step forward, even though it wasn't good competition. This is probably like UTSA level competition, maybe a little bit lower. Actually, San Jose State actually like their quarterback. That's a whole different topic. But he showed the big playability. His accuracy was better than maybe what the numbers showed. And I thought there were some positive takeaways from Arch. Again, he's going to have to show it against SEC competition, and we don't have that coming up for the next few games. But until then, you want to see development. So Texas fans, I do want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, the positives, the negatives. I'm probably putting a more positive spin on it, but that's just me being a former player and kind of working with some of these guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you thought of Arch's performance overall. And we have some cool stuff coming up. We're partnering with some really cool people. So we are going to be putting out some game previews, quarterback previews, not just on YouTube, but we're going to be putting these out through a PDF file. We're going to be sending it via email. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. Like it. It's going to be pretty cool, kind of like some breakdowns we had when we were in college. And then we're going to have some game recaps as well. So we have these game previews. Let's say when Texas is playing Oklahoma, we'll have the Arch Manning breakdown, and we'll have what the defense is trying to do against Arch. We're going to have a lot more detail on those PDFs that you have to sign up for than we do on the actual video. And then we'll have game recaps as well that will be sent the days after the game. So if that's something of interest, let us know. But anyways, like the video, share all the YouTube stuff. It helps us grow. We appreciate you following us along. We'll see you next time.